Quiet moments are rare at the St. Andrews mLAB. It is a place where kids socialize, create, and have fun. We sat down with Mr. Nelson and William McKinnerney, the creators of the mLAB, to discuss both the past and future of this makerspace.
I had a number of goals in mind for me on my end, and I think Yams had some goals in mind on his end. I think students, we've generated some more sort of purposes and what we can do. But I think for me, the mission was to provide a space on campus for students to experiment with technology. And so for me, it was the moment we opened, I was happy that we had now had a space in which students could experiment and tinker during their free periods before or after school or during lunch.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much, I think it's still the goal today.
Yeah.
It's a space to invent, a space to create. And sure, people are taking a nap wherever, but...
Space to nap.
Yeah. It's just an open space for whatever you want to do, whatever you want to think about. So. Yeah,
and I think as we've progressed, a greater goal of mine has been to really push for greater student control of the space. Providing a space not only for students to experiment and tinker with just building and with different forms of technology, but also a space for student leaders to sort of cut their teeth and get an understanding of like a chain of command and hierarchy and project management and all of those aspects. I think it's hard to control social change and social dynamics and movements, and I think that there's an aspect of the space where a lot of people believe that it is a community they feel safe, they like to be around, and whether or not they're into technology or into the sort of tools that are in there or the space itself, they have found a connection with people, and now that is where they go to hang out. And I think there's also sort of a social component of it where people are like, well, I'm not that type of kid, so I'm not going to go to the lab. And I think that's unfortunate because there really is no type of kid, and the ones that are in there that have formed a strong community, they're very different in a lot of ways. But they do get together in this one space, and I think it bonds people in a way. And so the people that have decided that it doesn't fit within their social group or their social aspirations, I think should reconsider in many ways what really what they think students are doing in that space socially.
I think it's just interesting, like looking at the people around me who work in there, especially like just on the manager level where there's like 8-10 of us, something like that. We're all extremely different in what we like, what we're interested in. And I think people just, they don't realize how much of working with people that are interested in much different things than you learn a lot from that. And I think it's a neat part of working in that space.
Technology changes at such a rapid rate now. There's things that I wish I would have bought last week that I'll be buying in the next week to put in the space. I think one day I'd love to be able to glass in the entire stage. I think that's a goal for everybody. I think we would really like that. Again, for me, my push is always to give more control to the students. We've kind of trying to set up a more democratic system of deciding what goes on in the lab so that the student managers have a say in what goes on, the different activities. So just really pushing for that. I'd love to say one day that it's completely student run. I think that's a big goal of mine.
Yeah. I think, more space, more, like just something cool, something neat. Just, again, technology changes so much. Like we have the Ultimaker 2. A few months later, oh look, there's the Ultimaker 3. Like just having, like being on the forefront of whatever is coming out, whatever is next, I think would make the mLAB just such a great place to work because you have so many different resources at your disposal, and right now such a little space. But I think especially for the school and just all the people that come through, I think it's a way to kind of say, hey, look, we're looking towards the future of what's happening, and that's really invaluable.